Hello, my name is Katherine Bykirk. I'm going to be discussing a book today that I read. It's by Jennings. It's called Hit the Ground Running. It's a manual for new leaders. It was very interesting to me, actually. I thought originally when I picked it up it wasn't going to be very interesting necessarily or very informative, but I found the way that it was written to be very intriguing and I wanted to continue to read it. He used this as kind of like a guide for new leaders. It contained backgrounds on different CEOs in the companies that they worked for. So it started off, he found CEOs that were people that came into their job because of either someone else retired, they died, they resigned, or because they just had poor performance from the leader before them. So that they had to kind of work their way to fix an issue or use different tactics. He went through all these interviews and he gave backgrounds on the different places that they worked and also the actual CEO themselves, how they started, their educational backgrounds, things like that. Each story is kind of listed under a rule. He made rules, there were 10 of them, and each one had their story under that for what they fit their description of. The first rule that he started out with was do not deceive yourself and you'll reap what you sow. This was based on Smucker's company and the CEO that took over for them. His main focus was to make sure that the right culture was being followed, that each of his employees had faith of some sort. It did not matter what religion or if it was even a religion. They just had to have a goal and faith in the company, faith in itself, and to make sure that everybody was aware of the strategy. Some companies think that they need to hide the strategy from other people, but he found that specifically using strategies and communicating these strategies with his employees and with other people was a wonderful tactic. It led to no secrets. It helped people understand where the company was headed, what they wanted, what their goals were, and how they were going to get there. He has also followed the rule to not be deceived, to constantly be doing what you need to do to continue to make the company prosper. The second rule was to gain belief. And this was kind of focused on more of the Hanover Insurance Group. It started off because he came into a business where the company was set up to kind of let the CEO be in a royal type position, is what he kept referring to it as. They had huge offices with chairs, bars inside the offices, and his first rule when he got there was to get rid of that. He took down the office, he made more of an open space where just one office was, and he included a whole bunch of different employees so that there wasn't a separation. He met with each employee, not just the higher up people, but he met with someone from customer service or the front desk receptionist. He wanted to make sure that everybody knew who he was, and he wanted to know everybody by name. He always referred to each person in the company by name. Which to me is very interesting and very important because there's not a lot of CEOs out there that do that. That showed that he believed that each member of the group was just as important as another and that everyone could bring something new to the table. He also started by asking people what they believed in and that he wanted them to believe in him. He said it straight up. He did not beat around the bush. He just said, I want you to believe in me. And then in order to get people to do that, he started doing things around the company that showed what his goals were. The next rule was to ask for help. And this was more focused on the story of the Harrison Corporation. And he referred to a lot of the things as to not be afraid when you come into a company, to use the resources that you have with other people that are more seasoned or that have been at the company for a very long time. Using these people, he gained a lot of knowledge on the company itself, the way it's been run in the past, what things worked, what things didn't work, and how he could improve this organization. He listened to people with open ears. He did not turn anything off. He wanted to hear everybody's opinion and how it worked and to ask people for help no matter what he needed. The fourth rule was based on stables, and this was one of the most interesting to me. It was to find, keep, and grow the right people. It started off by talking about how if you walk into a Staples and you see somebody that's acting as a customer service person that has the name tag that says Ron on it, that it could actually be the CEO, because he does that quite often. He likes to come down to different stores and work as customer service to keep that connection there, which to me was, the whole story was just very interesting. He was very, he likes to focus on each employee. He likes to get the right people hired in the beginning. He doesn't hire people just to hire people. And then he likes to help people grow within the organization to move up and promote them within. He said that is one of the most important things he has found. These people know the company inside and out. They know all aspects of it, and they've worked to get there. They've shown that dedication, and he wants to make sure he rewards people in order to keep that going. He also has programs in place that seek out employees that have this type of background, that are showing the strengths and that they want to continue to grow and that are extremely hard workers. He has that in each of his stores so that management in the stores can find those people and bring those people up into higher management and let them know that these people exist and that they would like to be moved up and that there would be a good fit for it. The fifth rule was to see through the fog. This was based on ATI, and it's one of the things he stressed importance of when you're a leader is to keep your unions. This helps increase your productivity and to encourage people to work harder because they have that background. You also need to look into the markets, he said, and do not always believe something you just hear because that might not be accurate. And a lot of the time CEOs make a mistake because they're just listening to what somebody has told them and not doing their own research into whether it's true or not. The sixth rule was to drive a stake into the ground. This was based on Humana. And his basic rules for new leaders was to not be intimidated. Be open and honest with everybody about your goals and what you're hoping to accomplish within this organization. He said another important thing was to resolve your problems out in the open. This helps build trust between employees and to let them know that you're there for them and you're not trying to hide anything. You're not trying to pass them off. He also wanted to make sure that he stressed the importance of informing employees of what is going to be changing and of the positive aspects of this change so that they're encouraged to continue working hard and continue the road that they're on. The seventh rule was to simplify everything. And this was based on Aladdin Mills. He stressed the facts of do not stop things from happening. Let the best idea win. Don't always use your pride to say, oh no, this aspect was more right than the other. Use what is actually the best idea and to simplify things. Make it so that people can understand it. Make it so that they're not confused, because when people are confused, they'll sometimes start to believe things that aren't true. Another rule out of the book was to be accountable. This was based on Goodrich Corporations, and this corporation really had a personal sense of responsibility. He wanted to stress that with himself and his employees, that you need to be accountable for what decisions you're making, what you're doing for the company. And in order to do that, he set the example and he held himself and all the other employees by this rule. He wanted each employee to understand what was expected of them, so he would lay that out with them right when he started. He wanted to build a team that was strong and a team that he could trust, and he did, and he put that trust in that team. Another one was to cultivate a fierce sense of urgency. This meant that they wanted to root out any sense of entitlement by employees and to make sure that everybody was being treated the same based on where they were at. That just because you're a manager or higher up in the company doesn't mean that you're going to get the sense of entitlement. You could still lose your job. You need to still be focused on what tasks are at hand, and you can't let anything slip. Being humble and staying humble was another thing that was stressed in this chapter of the book, and to make sure that you find the right kind of role models for your other employees to look up to and to follow. This book, in my opinion, was very well written. It tied in a lot of the things that we learned in class. It helped me to really understand the different aspects of leadership and what we are looking for as leaders. It focused on different leadership qualities of people, how they led their teams, whether they were open and honest or whether they were more closed. It helped to describe that they wanted to build teams that were effective, and that is all starting with how their leadership is. It all started with the CEO and how they led by example and how they were open with the other employees about what was expected of them, what changes were coming, and how they would like to ensure the company moves in a positive direction. I found the book to be a very good read. I would actually read it whether I had to or not. It was a book that I could get through fast. And I felt my reaction to the book was like they had a lot of points that were very, almost seemed simple, but they were points that a lot of people don't think about because they are so simple. And it's just focusing on more of the simple aspects of trust, honesty, accountability, and ensuring that people are happy, whether that's giving them their unions. And it just stressed the importance of how that can really affect a group of people. I would definitely suggest reading this book, and it tied in a lot of the ideas and qualities of a strong, effective leader. Thank you.